Keep it up one more minute. Keep it up, you're so great.
Hey guys, it's Julia. Welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be all about some of my holy grail products that I've replaced lately. My makeup tastes have changed a little bit this year, but mostly a lot of these things have just been due to me testing out new products and finding new formulas that I just love even more than my previous holy grails. So today I have a roundup of a lot of things that have really been standouts lately, particularly a new #1 favorite palette. I know. I'll talk about anything that I have on my face throughout the video. Today's dew fairy of the day is Beet. Thank you so much for having your notification bell on. And yeah, I look like a horse girl. It's fine. Yeah, I tried to look like a cute cottagecore girl going to go feed her chickens, and instead the bandana would not sit right on my head, so endure this with me. But yeah, it's been a while since I've done one of these, so I figured I would give you guys a little bit of an update about what has really been it for me lately. So without further ado, let's dive into some of the holy grails. I will start off with my new favorite palette in my collection. I do not say that ever lightly. My ABH Soft Glam has definitely been in like my top 5 favorite palettes for a long time, and has been like my favorite no-brainer neutral palette to reach for. But she's truly changed my life. This is the new Nabla Side to Side Nude palette, which I am currently wearing on my eyes right now. Honestly, kind of similar vibes to ABH Soft Glam, with a few more like cooler tone neutrals in here as well. So you can do warm tone, cool tone, very soft glam, very not soft glam, depending on what you want to do. Dare I say, this is perfect. I wouldn't change a single thing about this palette. I feel like every single shade in here has a place. Everything performs really beautifully. Particularly, I love the shimmers in here. My favorite shade in here is Better Society, and I would define this as the shade here called Sultry from Soft Glam, but like a million times better. It's like brownie tone with a little hint of like mauve-y pinkness to it. It also has a little bit of like a silver shift running throughout it, so it just looks super dimensional and almost like icy wet on the eyes. New wedding palette, new wedding palette, new wedding palette. I've always said that I was gonna wear Soft Glam on my wedding day, but that was a bold statement to make in my ripe 18 years of age. Now I'm like almost 20, so I can say this is my wedding day palette. So that is the first little holy grail that I've replaced. Still love my Soft Glam palette and still recommend it. If you're wanting like a smaller culled down version of this palette, I know they have the mini out right now. Kind of similar packaging as well, maybe? No? I don't know. No. The mirror in here is bigger though, so I do love that. Next, a highlighter favorite. ColourPop Flexitarian has long been like one of my most versatile favorite highlighters. This color-wise goes with everything. It's also one of my favorite textures because it's very blinding, like kind of ridiculous at this point. But because of its cream to powder texture, I feel like it's one of those blinding highlighters that melts into the skin really nicely and doesn't just sit on top of your face. So texturally, I've always loved this one, and I love that it's very bright, very blinding, but doesn't look super powdery and unnatural. However, Colitis Ray Rider has kind of taken up that role for me now. This is actually a true powder texture, whereas this is cream to powder, but I still feel like this formula just melts so beautifully into the cheekbones. It's one of the few powder highlighters that I have that looks really nice and natural in natural lighting. And then like Flexitarian, you can use a very small amount of it if you don't want to go too crazy, or you can really layer it on and just get a really nice, beautiful glow. Plus, you wouldn't think it, but they're actually pretty similar tone-wise. I just have been loving this one a lot more, especially because Flexitarian can be a little bit more difficult to apply just due to the texture, whereas this, because it's a true powder, you don't really have to like use anything special to apply it. Flexitarian I like applying with my fingers, which can take a little bit more time. But yeah, this is the love of my life right here. I think she and Amrezy are like neck and neck for my favorite highlighter. I've been really trying to make my Bite Agave Lip Masks last for a long time because they reformulated and I don't like the new formula. Like, I know it's a vegan formula and that's good and everything, but like, this lip mask is one of my favorites because it's very thick, very conditioning, but it's also kind of waxy is a bad term for it, but it doesn't transfer too much onto my chin. I feel like kind of greasier, oilier lip masks, which a lot of them are, if they get onto my chin, whether I'm like yawning in my sleep at night, it will break me out. So I like to go for a little bit of a thicker, less greasy lip balm in the nighttime. And I wouldn't say this is like exactly equivalent, but my new favorite is the Innisfree Lip Sleeping Mask. It's this kind of similar, thick, stiffer texture. You get a lot more product in here as well for less money. It's moisturizing and balmy, but it's also not too greasy, so if it does get onto my chin, I don't see any breakouts on my chin. And honestly, I think it does a little bit of a better job than the old Bite ones. I believe this is also now in Sephora, so that's awesome. The ABH Dewy Set has long been one of my favorite mists, and price-wise, I think you actually get a pretty decent amount of product product in here, but I've been really loving the Fourth Ray Beauty Glisten Up Mist a lot more this year. This doesn't really have like the setting spray powers that this one has, so I do feel like this one actually locks in my makeup, whereas this just kind of provides a dewy glow. But I really love layering this, especially between steps in my makeup routine. So I'll do all my base products, especially if I'm using like a powder highlighter or powder blush, spray my face, and then I do my eyeshadow, and then I'll spray my face one more time after I do that. And then layering this on through the makeup routine makes everything look skin-like and beautiful and perfect. Plus, she's real cheap, so not necessarily exactly equivalent products, but I do use this more often. I never thought I would live to see the day that Tatcha Silk Canvas got unseated, but to be honest, especially since I've kind of decreased my use of foundation, I also haven't really been relying on these types of smoothing primers all that often. So this is no longer my favorite primer in my collection. The two things I've been reaching for over it: Banana Bright Primer from Ole Henriksen, and then Glossier Fuchsia, of course. These are nothing like the Tatcha Silk Canvas. They don't do any of the same things. Both of them provide a really nice, smooth, glowy base. I don't necessarily believe in like makeup products infused with skincare, but both of these are kind of more skincare-ish type primers. And I like having that as kind of like the first layer of my face between whatever base products I have and then the skincare that I have underneath. Kind of sucks because I have a lot of this left, but I really just haven't been using it that much. I did get through a good amount of this, and I do still think it's a good primer. I'm just kidding. I just wanted to see if you guys were paying attention. This could never be replaced. The ABH eye primer was my favorite for a while. This actually unseated the Urban Decay primer potion a while ago, and I like this. It's very heavy duty, very, very pigmented, and it also has a little bit of a matte dry down. But I definitely liked this a lot more than the P. Louise base, which was never my favorite. But something I've been loving lately is not the Tatcha water cream, this is just the packaging I have it in, is the Colitis Eye Base. So mine actually exploded when it arrived, so I just put it in here, and it actually hasn't dried out in this packaging. So if you wanted to just squeeze it all out into a thing, I would recommend that. It actually makes using it a lot easier. This I really enjoy. I feel like it's just a tiny bit more hydrating than the ABH one, which makes it a lot easier to blend out onto the lids. It's a teensy bit tackier as well, whereas this is a little bit more of a matte dry down. And because of that just ounce of hydration, it's not hard to blend stuff out on top of it, but it just makes the eyeshadow look a little bit less crepey on the eyes. So that first layer of transition shade, instead of like looking like powder on top of a really dry base, which I feel like sometimes it can look like that with this, it just melds into the primer almost like a cream eyeshadow would, and then everything you put on top of it just looks so good. Plus there was so much in the tube and you only need a tiny amount to cover both lids. Like this amount here on my finger, that will cover both of your eyelids. In general, I just think it's a very bang for your buck type product because you get a lot of product in the tube and it lasts really well. The only product I really ever stand from Natasha Denona was the lip liner in the shade L4. This was, I think, a Wayne Goss recommendation back in the day, but it's just basically this beautiful, like almost like brownie toned taupey neutral. Looks good with every eye look. I actually mostly use this as like an all over lip color, so instead of using it as just a lip liner, I would color in my entire lips, and that would be like my perfect neutral, almost brownie tone nude. But texturally I found one that I like even more. This is the Nabla lip liner. It's called the Close Up Lip Shaper in the shade Nude 4. So L4, Nude 4. The lip liner that I'm wearing right now, this is actually a really nice creamy texture, whereas this is definitely a lot more dry and a lot matter. But it's just my perfect nude kind of like chestnut lip liner. And they came out with a range of different lip liners. So this is the shade Nude 1. This is the lightest shade. There are 6 shades of the nude lip liner, and I think it's a really nice lineup. This I believe was in my 2019 favorites, and this was my favorite bronzer of the year last year. It's the Cover FX Sunkist Bronze Monochromatic Bronzing Duo. I mostly used it for the matte bronzer in here, which I still love as a bronzer. I think it's a really nice formula. I didn't use the shimmer one quite as often unless I was kind of using them in conjunction, but I've been going through the matte one a lot more quickly. But I've kind of shifted away from using this one, and my new favorite bronzer is actually one that I got, I think, before this bronzer, but it's the Fenty Beauty Sunstalker bronzer, Shady Biz, which I think is the second lightest shade. These bronzers are one of my favorite powder formulas. I just think it's a really nice, soft, creamy texture that just blends super easily. Plus, I actually really like layering this one with cream blushes, and I feel like it's one of the few more pigmented bronzers that still blends really easily and looks natural if you want it to. Also, this kind of like clamshell octagon packaging is really sturdy, so I do like taking this one for travel. So I still like this one, but this is my #1 favorite bronzer at the moment. My #1 reigning favorite pencil black liner was that Urban Decay Ultra Black Liner. I don't remember what the name is, but it's one of their cult favorite, like, best-selling products. Lately though, Nabla has been a star in this video. I'm just realizing there's 3 Nabla products. This is the Cupid's Arrow Liner from them. It's actually a really fat crayon, so maybe not exactly the same as Urban Decay one, but it's just is very creamy, but it also blends really, really nicely if you want it to into this kind of smoked out smoke. So one of my favorite ways to use this one is actually just doing a tiny smudge on the outer corner and then grabbing a brush like this and just flicking it out, and it creates this beautiful, like lightly diffused wing that's still sharp. It's also one of the few liners that doesn't hurt when you put it into the waterline if you do that. I have very sensitive eyeballs. I can't put contacts in for shit. She has the other contact. We can't get it into my eye. I have one contact. And sometimes sticking a pencil eyeliner in there, especially if it's like a wooden one, can really hurt. So I did like the Urban Decay one, that was very glidey, but this is the glidiest. Then last but not least, why am I British? Two of my old foundation favorites. This is the Diorskin Forever and the Too Faced Peach Perfect. This I would go for when I wanted a nice natural soft matte finish, but not aggressively dry matte, and this I would go for when I wanted something nice and dewy. Even though this is actually kind of marketed as like a soft matte, I still feel like it's a pretty glowy foundation. However, my new favorite for soft matte has been the YSL All Hours, and then my favorite for dewy is of course ABH. Though I have been going foundation free most days, honestly, including today, I have found my skin being more sensitive to foundation whenever I do wear them, and these are two of the few remaining that don't break me out. Diorskin is very highly fragranced, and I don't break out immediately if I use this one, but if I do use it in consecutive days, I will notice my skin getting a little bit irritated. Peach Perfect scent doesn't irritate me anymore, but I just like the way that All Hours sits on my skin a little bit better. Yeah, these are my two reigning favorite foundations at the moment. Final favorite, Flintstones. No, I'm kidding. I don't know, they're just on my desk, so I feel the need to share them. Anyways, that's it. Those are some of my updated current Holy Grail favorites. I mostly just wanted to make this video to share the Nabla palette. But yeah, these are just some of my core favorites in my collection. I still do enjoy most of the things that they've replaced, but these are just the brightest and the best. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure you are subscribed down below. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and if you made it to the very end of this video, you get the bonus meme. Love you. Bye.